updating
Right.
this, and what is your thoughts on how they would update the site?
Well, the way it's set up, all you have to do is with it, like, are you saying, like, for example, the header, like, if they want to put a better logo, yeah. Basically, all you would have to do as far as the way it's set up is the majority of the, like, for example, for the header, the styling of that, like, the way that the virtual campus core is centered and everything is based on the image. So whatever image they just had put there would, the styling would go around that. Is that, I don't think. Basically, wherever the, sorry, the way that, if they want to replace the image, all you have to do is bring in a new image of the same name, obviously. And the style sheet, the way that the page is organized, they could go in and change the style sheet so they're in a separate, they would be easy to find. So yes, I would think that they would have to go in and modify the style sheets because the style sheet's based on the information we have. But as far as stuff like the media logo stuff, those will all be the same dimensions. It's just certain things like the header, they would have to probably modify the style sheet.
Okay. So going into this project and determining your technologies, was there anything that y'all were pretty much cold on as far as you didn't know?
Everything.
Or experienced with?
Everything.
Everything?
Yes.
HTML, I think one person.
I had done some HTML, and so yes, right.
JavaScript.
Same thing for jQuery and for MySQL as well?
Yeah.
I just did this.
Okay. Can I also do that makeup of what the majors are we doing? Is it also computer science?
No.
Us three computer engineers there. Those three.
Okay. And then what year are you all seniors or you're senior?
Michael's junior.
So you're a senior, you're a junior.
And we've actually, I know we started semester, but we've actually had a lot of experience with this semester. Like, for example, Charles and I worked on this project as well as the CS department side. We've been constantly, basically it's the majority, which I think all the coding I've done this semester has been just constant web development. So it's not like we have a pretty good understanding of how everything works for Guild. Not to say we mastered it, because that's true. But if anything, yes, we've had quite a lot of experience with this semester. Any other questions?
When you finally hand this off to the end user or the customer, are you providing documentation, like how-to document for them at the user level?
Yes.
What about from the maintenance level? Like, are you providing your diagrams of the system of this and that?
Yeah.
What about like securing? Do you have to worry about security?
The only security issue we have is with the form, obviously, because that's like personal information. As far as that goes, but since it's going through the Mercer IT department, we felt that, like, as far as getting into the site, it would be as secure as the Mercer site that's being posted on. But the form that we have, what?
Don't make assumptions.
Oh, okay, I won't. So, that was what our belief was, but that's yes. Okay, the main security concern we had was with the form with the personal information. We're going to make that. We were going to replace that more secure.
Well, how are you thinking about making that more secure?
That's what I meant. Like, we're thinking of ways to make it more secure. We haven't come up with ways.
That's in the future.
That's the future. Yes.
We'll switch back to the presentation. I wanted to look at the there. Go to the next page. Into the requirement. Go to the bunch requirement. Yeah, go to the
Great.
I just sort of peeked into this so you can have fun.
Yes.
What he's thinking, are you going to have the site available offline?
Offline. The problem with having it offline is it uses the Google Map API, which means it basically uses Google Maps, which doesn't work offline. It doesn't.
What about using
Really?
an offline mapping solution?
I've used
It
Google
works
Maps offline.
We tried it offline. It's not the Google Map, like, the site doesn't work. We've tried it offline and the API doesn't seem to work.
the API.
That's what I meant.
But
I'm
I
sorry.
can use maps
Yes.
offline.
Yes. Sorry. That's what I meant.
Have you considered an offline mapping tool? So Google Maps isn't provided, obviously. There are solutions. You know, for, say, commissions want to provide a tablet, you can walk around with it.
Right. Oh, well, what we were thinking about when we're walking around campus, there is Wi-Fi on I think all the campus now. So that's why our offline, like basically our, if you have a smartphone and you're using on campus, obviously with the geolocation, obviously you'd be in a Wi-Fi location. But
If it's anything like it was when I was here, though, it didn't really work very well.
well, it's better.
pretty good now.
Yeah, it's pretty much, yeah. The only thing is like logging back in and stuff like that. But it logs you out if you're on it for a fair amount of time. That's the only problem I've seen with it. But so there's Wi-Fi everywhere, and if you're using your computer like at home, you obviously have internet. So that's one reason for offline capabilities we've been thinking at work.
When y'all were working
Yes.
as a schedule for this project,
Yes.
how much of that is sort of determined by y'all versus the class? Is it all sort of team based, like we're gonna have these done by this time, these artifacts, or
Right.
is it Dr. Martin saying, hey, these are due?
Oh no, we set the deadlines.
And did you keep track of that, like milestones and things like that?
Any other questions?
There are no other questions, are there?
Oh. And I just say, okay, great at the end. It's not even good. There are no other questions. Am I correct?
Uh-oh, go ahead.
Oh no, he's getting ready.
Are you ready? How do y'all feel about the project today?
I feel that as far as functionality is going, we're fairly long. We're doing pretty well. The one thing that I don't like is since the styling hasn't been done yet, it doesn't look as finished as it actually is. Like with certain things, like the reason that the text was so large on that page is for the way the smartphone use websites. It basically takes the entire page and shrinks it down to this. So you have to have the text fairly large in order to see it on the smartphone screen. So that's why it looks like you basically got someone that to go onto an Angel Fire account and type in random text and stuff. So that's the only complaint I have, or thing that I'd like to have the style sheets more updated, because I feel like it doesn't look like we have as much as we do, but as functionality goes, I think we're doing very well. But, do they want to add?
But I think we kind of got a slow start to it.
Yeah.
I would have liked more time to, would have liked to start it earlier in the semester, but we spent a good amount of time trying to connect with the client and set up meetings to get the functional requirements and the functional requirements.
One of the, and also on that point is we had a fair amount of time beginning of semester deciding what interface we were going to do. We were debating whether or not to do Android and iPhone or HTML for a while, and then the Canvas app, Google Maps API things. We spent a lot of time developing things without actually putting it in hand. So it was a little bit of a slow start, but once we got the ball rolling, we've got it. Yes.
Someone already asked you this, but could you remind me, what is the remaining schedule?
December 2nd is when we're hoping to be completed, and then do you want to go through those page? And yeah, these are basic goals. The way it's set up is Michael and I are handling the Analytics map page, and Travis, Elias, and Greg are handling the map page, the media page. So it's kind of divided up, and we feel like that these are goals that we can accomplish pretty easily, or not pretty easily, but we can accomplish by this semester. So basically, the rest of the timeline is getting these things accomplished. Yes, Dr. Allen.
I remember early on the talks with the admissions office, they were really hot on using QR codes on campus to jump into the middle of the tour somewhere.
Yes.
Has that been forgotten, or is it?
It hasn't been forgotten, but we wanted to make sure that we had a working tour for them to go to before we did QR codes.
Where would the QR codes take you, and would you still have to go through that sign-in thing?
The QR codes, we don't think that we have to do the sign-in, obviously, because you're just like walking by. We think it would go straight to the media page. And then
And then from the media page, there's a link back to the
It's
correct.
So if you go in directly to the media page, it will have a link to the map.
Yes.
So for the QA session, you've dominated pretty much most of the answer. How do you guys feel about your actual contribution so far as a team?
I'll let.
I actually wrote that on the bottom of the piece of paper. What would they do without Levi?
They were on.
Yeah, you see it on there, don't you?
I'll let them answer that.
Okay.
Can you clarify your question?
Yeah, so on the team page, you listed the different roles you each had. How has that actually panned out in your progress so far? And okay,
Still-
that's my question.
Go back to the beginning when you listed all
Well,
the team members.
I know what he's talking about, but I'm not sure what your question is.
How
do we feel individually?
Yeah.
Oh.
How do you get your actual contribution?
Yeah, Levi has not touched the media page at all. That was him and Michael were on the map page, and they've been developing that solely. So he hasn't touched the media page at all. That has been me and Mary Dennis. And I feel like, 100% contribution to that, or not 100%, but equal contribution to that with them across that. We haven't touched the map page, they haven't touched the media page. We kind of split along those lines in different work groups there. Have asked each other advice questions on, oh, that's not, how do you do this and that, and oh, have you figured out how to use this? But as far as that goes, yeah, felt good. A lot of contribution.
I'm just a very talkative person.
I figured that was the case.
And when we set up at the beginning of the semester, kind of unofficially elected Levi as like the director of the project, just because
That would be useful
he's pretty good.
information to include.
He's pretty good.
It says,
Go to the. So yeah.
Just kind of tucked away in there.
My roles as team leader was
He's good organizer.
Yeah. My roles were to interact with the client, set up meetings, and I was supposed to actually, when we learned about team leader was supposed to have very good public speaking skills as well. So that's one of the reasons that I was chosen for that. Not to say that these guys are public people, but it's very difficult for me to keep my mouth shut for more than 5 minutes. Yes.
Based on what you've learned so far, this is a question for all of you. Based on what you've learned so far, if you were to start over today, what would you do different, or what direction would you go differently?
One, I think we get the ball rolling early.
That's granted, but what would you do technically different?
Technically.
Are you assuming that we know, like for example, I guess a lot of the time was, I know, a lot of time, I'm just a clarification, yeah, I'm sorry. Are you saying like if we knew, I guess, would we know at that time like the differences between HTML and Android?
I'm not saying that you don't know anything, you've gone back in time. I'm saying that if we gave you a blank check and another 6 months to do the project,
Over.
and you didn't, and I threw away everything you had, I'm not saying I don't like it or do like it, I'm just saying if you
Right.
started over,
What would we do?
what would you do differently? And,
Less
and
work.
everyone says, well, we should get started earlier, so I don't want that as the answer, but procedurally, technically, process-wise, what would you do differently? Actually, let's just start on the left and go down, and then everybody can answer.
This isn't really my forte here, but I think we kind of jumped here using MySQL, and we didn't really look in Postgres or SQLite, and if in our testing we find deficiencies and issues, I would say we need to go back and use SQLite or something else.
I'm pretty satisfied with how the map page and the point editor work turned out. The analytics page is also pretty good, I think. So I think that it's all right.
As far as the media page, I would like to have like type of apps using jQuery and things like that, so we can get a good understanding. So
Wasting a lot of time debugging and trying to